Oh, afternoon, guys. It's Jeff. I'm back again. Um, I just maybe wanted to do follow up a little bit on the video I released a few days ago, and I want this to be the last time I have to ever talk about this particular subject, and what's happened and the fallout since then, and really give some thoughts about where do we go from here as a community. And I think that needs to be addressed, and some thoughts. And I don't have all the answers to that. I don't. And I'm really just kind of brainstorming off my head as I'm doing this video. This video isn't going to be an attack piece on the person that I went off on the other day. I don't want to mention that person's name in this video, and that's not the spirit this is meant in. I want this to hopefully be a bit more positive and constructive to discourse going forward. First of all, I want to wish my best wishes and all the love in the world to Rachel Oates. I hope you get into a much better place soon. What you do is very much appreciated by a lot of people. You do good work, Rachel, but you take all the time you need to get better. And when you're ready to, if and when you're ready to come back, do so when you're ready. But we as a community are here for you, and I just want you to know that. Now, talking about some of the fallout from. Now, I know I've got a bad habit of smoking on camera. Don't smoke. But looking at the fallout, obviously emotions are running high still. I was very emotional in my last video. I'm not normally like that. I'm still a little emotional. I'm still angry. There's still anger there about what's happened now. And I do wholeheartedly agree with the sentiment that the person most directly and the person or people that are around them as well that have most been responsible for this harm. Yes, I totally agree with the sentiment that's going around that they should never ever be allowed to get into a position to cause such harm again. That being said, we cannot, as a community, resort to the same tactics and methods and standards of those people to achieve that goal. We have to be better. We have to be better as a community. Now, I'm only a very, very tiny voice in this community. I'm very new to. I wouldn't even necessarily would say that I'm a YouTube atheist because I don't upload enough. I engage in some dialogues and follow some people, and I have conversations on the internet mainly. But I'm a small voice, but these are kind of my thoughts for what they're worth. We do need, I think, when we're approaching dialogues, we have to understand that this isn't the first time, and nor will it be the last time, where something where it initially stems from is going to be a difficult issue that not everyone is necessarily going to understand, and not in all issues we're not necessarily going to understand how the other person's feeling or why they've got to that place. And there's always going to be difficult issues coming up in the future. It won't be the last time, whether that be in issues around politics, race, gender identity, sexual orientation, whatever it may be. We shouldn't run from these conversations. I'm not going to suggest that. These conversations are difficult. They're difficult for some people. I would say, like I said, I mentioned in my previous video that I didn't weigh in a lot because I didn't feel I knew enough about the issue to really weigh in with anything really constructive. However, if someone like me that doesn't know but wants to learn can't weigh in on conversations, how are we going to learn? How are we going to learn unless we have the conversations? And we can only progress. You know, even if someone says something completely ignorant, sometimes try and be charitable and realise maybe it is coming from a place of ignorance and not malice. You know, I think we need to maybe try and employ the principle of charity a bit more, myself included. I'm not saying I'm above this or that I'm perfect. I've made most mistakes myself. There's been a lot of fallout since on Twitter. I'm not going to get into all the details of and all the little arguments that are going on around this. Emotions are still running high, not just about this situation, other situations. And a lot of stuff's being said back and forth. I think there's times when, if it gets like that, we need to disengage. And I might even suggest Twitter isn't always the best place to have these conversations. You have the thing with Twitter is you've got this thing of where you've got 240 characters. It's very difficult to articulate an argument in 240 characters. Even if you do it over multiple tweets and so on, it can be very difficult to really articulate an argument and a point you're trying to get across. It's difficult, and it's very, very easy to take someone out of context. Now, I'm not suggesting, I'm not going to, again, with the person who caused a lot of this grief to begin with, I don't think I was taking them out of context. I don't think the community was, personally. That's just my personal view on this. But I've seen it happen, and it can happen easily. I do think sometimes we need to know when to disengage. And if people don't want to engage in a particular conversation, maybe not tag them in, and maybe not go after them for not wanting to get involved. I think that's a lesson we need to learn. I think there's a lot of lessons we need to learn, myself very much included. It's going to be difficult. But we must remember that none of us are perfect. We're all fallible human beings. We're all fallible. We all make mistakes. None of us, know everything about everything. And I see a lot of this sometimes getting really vitriolic with people that I know are really, really smart people, way smarter than I am, who know an awful lot about an awful lot of subjects that I can't even begin to get my head around. And this is the thing, I don't particularly have a special skill. I'm not well versed in science or philosophy, or I maybe know a little bit about politics. I'm no real expert. I view myself as a lay person on all subjects. But I think going forwards, we need to accept a few things. We're not always going to agree. And there's nothing wrong with that. Admittedly, there's going to come a time, and there's going to be people that sometimes it's not worth engaging. And possibly at times there's people that are not going to provide are going to cause problems and not provide anything constructive to the discourse, which I think has a lot to do with what's happened. We can't allow small minorities of people with pretty extreme viewpoints to dictate how this dialogue should go forward. And I'd even would implore those kind of people, even if you have radical points of view. I have very, I would say, fairly radical views politically on a number of issues. I'm very much on the left. Doesn't mean I won't engage with people on the right. I mean, there are limits. I'm not going to engage with, I don't know, like a Holocaust denier or a neo-Nazi or something. I don't see anything to be gained from that. I don't personally see much to be gained from those dialogues. There might be something that I don't know about. I don't know, but that's just a personal thing for me. But again, I am spitballing a lot of this stuff on the fly here. But I've seen a lot that's happened in the last few days, and it's gotten me down a little bit now. It's gotten me down. There's people that have so much good to give, and I want to see them giving as good in this, that have positive voices in the conversation. I think these are a few things we may need to remember going forward. That we need to be charitable. We need to know when to engage, when to disengage. We need to try and be forgiving if we can, if and when that's applicable. We can't, I don't know that if anything I've said really makes sense in this. I really don't know if it does, or that I'm making a video that is going, that is even that good. I'm spitballing a lot of this off my head. I haven't sat down and wrote a script out for this. But this is, again, I may be a little emotional in this. Not as much as I was the other day. I don't have a lot to offer but my voice. And for what it's worth, I think the world of this community, a lot of you I've engaged with, I don't really know you personally, but even for these internet engagements, I view many of you as friends. I don't know how we get there, but we need to be better people going forward, all of us. See you guys later. Salute.